Alright guys, Texas Garden Guy here, and today we're going to revamp our blueberry raised bed. This is one of my oldest probably raised beds. I've had this for probably 4 years or so now. It's a cheap Amazon 4x4. It's actually held up pretty well. And I've got 4 blueberry plants that I got back in January right here. I went ahead and planted. We actually got a couple blueberries out of here. It's not the most sturdy bed. It kind of pushes out a little bit, but hey, a bed's a bed. So these blueberries, there's 4 different varieties, and I got these from Leg Creek, Trey over at Leg Creek Farms. They're in East Texas. They only sell varieties that do really well here in Texas. And so I've got a Brightwell. This one is a Premier. This one is Climax, and that one's a pink lemonade. I know that one's a pink lemonade. So what we're gonna do is we're going to top this off and get it going, and hopefully in the fall these will look a little better. I kind of let this bed go over the summer. There were so many weeds in here. I filled up an entire wagon of weeds from here, and so now we need to go ahead and top this off, get them some fertilizer and get them going, and then hopefully it will get us ready for the spring. All right, one thing I will point out is this is a Hugelkultur bed, which means when I did this bed a couple of years ago, I filled the entire bottom of it with logs, sticks, branches, stuff like that. So you can see that there's some mushrooms growing out of the bed right here, which is totally normal. All that is telling you is that, hey, there's, breakdown going down under the soil. This soil is alive. This is an ecosystem. This bed, we don't till it. We don't do anything like that. This is an ecosystem, a thriving, microbiome. So this is alive. The soil is alive here. But just to be a little aesthetic, well, you can just go and pull this out. You want to be careful. Something like this, I don't know what kind of mushrooms these are, but you can tell I'm wearing gloves, and I will make sure not to rub my face or anything like that. But if it's something like the dog vomit mold, it's like orange and nasty, you can kind of shovel that out with like a hand shovel. These are a little easier to pull out. We'll just set them off to the side for now. You'll also be able to see our sprinkler system. This is a micro sprinkler system, and this is the end of the lines. This is one zone that is going this way all the way around my yard, and it's the valve is right here that shuts it off. And then that's another zone coming from the other side. I have to run 2 different zones because I have so many sprinklers and so many plants that I'll lose pressure if I run it all at once. So these are micro 360 sprinklers. You can get them on Amazon. There's a link in my bio. The only thing I want to be careful is you can see this one right here. After a while, they start to dry rot. And so you always want to pay attention because this one's got to be replaced. And I don't want all this plastic getting in my bed either. So I'll go ahead and set this off the side, and we will replace that later on whenever we top this off. And that's something you got to do every so often with these sprinklers. They don't last forever, but I mean, these are probably 3 years old. I mean, I've had these going for like 3 years. So we'll go ahead and pull these up. And what's cool is I kind of just hook them through the fence to hold them up and get them up out of the way so we can work on this bed. We're going to go ahead and do some pruning. This plant looks pretty rough, but if you prune back on it, you see it's still green. You know what I mean? I'm only going to prune off dead, dried up, woody growth. And for the most part, it's going to look rough, but once we get this topped off and get this fertilized, it's going to be doing a lot better. Just like a little haircut. Just kind of prune off a little bit of this. See how it's kind of woody, a little bit dead, but if you look in there, it's green, so we don't really need to do too much pruning. I'm going to kind of leave this alone, and maybe in the fall after the winter, we'll see what takes kind of more of a hit, and then we'll prune more. I got my little rake. I got this at Walmart for like $10, but I like it because it's small and it's like tight, so you can kind of get in tight spaces and move the soil around and kind of level it out. My dog gets in here sometimes, very rarely. He doesn't get in the beds too often, but if he's talking to the neighbor dog, he can get a little nosy. We call him the nosy neighbor. So we're going to kind of smooth this out, get some of that old soil moved around. And like I said, we don't till this or go too crazy with it. We're going to pull any weeds. I mean, you're going to have that sedge from weed eating. It's just going to happen. Whenever you weed eat and mow, doesn't matter what kind of weed fabric you put on, you're going to have sedge pop up, and we'll just kind of smooth it out. So now we're going to get some rose soil. So we're going to be using some of this Living Earth rose soil. They call it rose soil or tree and shrub soil. It is slightly acidic, but not super acidic where it's really going to affect the plants. If you really want to acidify your plants, it doesn't matter how much pine straw or pine needles or pine bark you put in there. It's not really going to acidify your soil. You're going to need to get an acidifier to actually acidify soil if you want. We'll go ahead and get these open, spread them out, get all the soil blended in, and we'll go from there. And I really like this blend. The soil I used to use when I originally built this bed was very, I would say light and wood chippy. But this rose soil, it's got more of a sandy texture to it, which is a little heavier, which you might think would hold too much moisture, but actually is going to allow for really good drainage. And I like to kind of get around the base of the tree or the bush, whatever you want to call it. I am new to blueberries this year. Like I said, the ones I've grown in the past, the ones you get from the big box store, they don't necessarily grow the best in your area. So having a company like Leg Creek Farms, since they're here in Texas, they know what does well in this area. So that's kind of the benefit. And you can see it's been hot, it's been kind of dry, then it's been really wet. And they're still doing pretty good. I mean, this pink lemonade in the back is probably doing the best. And this is on the south. It's on the west side of the fence. So it's getting the morning sun, but not a whole lot of late afternoon sun. So like morning, mid-afternoon, but not like when the hottest part of the day, it's kind of getting shaded. So it's getting a little bit of a break. That's kind of the advantage of gardening in a subdivision, really, because you can use your fence to your advantage. I tell so many people, I mean, look at my irrigation system. It's ran all the way around my fence. It's such a benefit of living in a subdivision, not only because you get a little bit of break for your garden, but also the wind chill when it's cold. You get a little bit of a break as well. So let's get a second bag in, it's mixed in, and then we're going to add some mulch. A powder blue, not pink lemonade, it's powder blue. One of these is pink though. One of these is definitely pink. I thought it was the pink lemonade. Okay. Spread this out. Duke, what are you doing? Hi. Boy, Duke is the garden guardian. People who have pests in the garden, just get a garden dog. They will help you out so much. I got a buddy up in North Carolina who's having trouble with squirrels eating his figs. He needs a garden dog. Shout out to Phil's Figs. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we were discussing these kinds of beds in the Garden Party podcast, which is our weekly podcast. We have guests from all around the U.S. and around the world every week on Wednesdays. And we're actually discussing, someone asked in the comments about hugelkultur beds. And I think the common consensus we came to is that it's very beneficial when you have a really deep bed. It's like a 30-inch bed where you need to fill like half of it up for cheap. You can use logs and stuff. But something like this is a learning curve for me. I probably would not fill, I don't know what, a 10-inch or a foot tall bed with bark and everything, because you can go down 6 to 8 inches and you feel logs still. They're still down there. So I don't recommend the hugelkultur on this size bed unless you're going to use like wood chips or mulch, for like a bottom third. I wouldn't use big logs. It takes a long time to break down. And you're not going to have much room for root growth. So I don't recommend it on a short bed like this. So I think we're actually going to add some of this Ivy Organic all-purpose fertilizer before we put the mulch on, just so it's kind of at the bottom layer and it doesn't blow off. It's kind of windy right now. We're going to water everything in, but this is very powdery. So I kind of want to get this under the mulch. And this is 100% organic fertilizer. I had Charles Malky from Ivy Organics on the podcast. Really nice guy, and he sent me a sample of this stuff, and it's pretty good stuff. I mean, it smells good. It looks good. It's, like I said, Omri certified for organic gardening. So why not use it on our blueberries? Let's go ahead and do some sprinkling. It does say to spread it about 2 inches from the actual trunk. I'm not big on measuring, but this is about a 1/4 cup per plant. That sounds about right to me. Okay. Now I think it says apply this 3 times a year. 3 times a year, so it should last a while actually. Cool. And this is a 333. This is a 333 fertilizer. So this isn't pine bark mulch or anything like that. This is just Houston, Texas mulch. This is Houston mulch. Living Earth's got a pretty cool program with the city of Houston. So this is all mulch that gets collected. If you're in the Houston area and you put out limbs or branches or whatever out to your curb once a month and they come pick it up, they mulch it up, they grind it up, and this is what it is. So it's from the city, for the city. I've had issues getting mulch in the past, and I don't know where it's coming from. And I've had new pest problems. So knowing that this is like local, coming from the city, that I'm nearest, you know, I shouldn't have to deal with any new pests from mystery locations. So it's kind of a cool thing. And right now they got a ton of this stuff from Hurricane Barrel. So go by and pick this stuff up. All right. I'm just going to dump it in the center and spread it out. And we'll kind of just spread it out. And what this mulch is going to do is not only going to, help shade and protect the roots from the heat, it's also going to retain some water, not let it drain as fast. And when it's hot and dry, these won't take as much of a beating. I've got friends where they will just plant straight wood chips sometimes. They'll just turn it and turn it until it turns into soil. And that's what will happen to this stuff. Over time, when you put this in your bed, it's going to turn into really good compost. It's kind of like composting in place with your mulch. So I highly recommend mulching. It's going to help out with weeds as well. It's also going to help out with weeds. I really like to mulch in my beds because it is very, very beneficial. So that's pretty good looking mulch, honestly. I like it. All right, I don't think we need the second bag. I think we're good with that one bag. Let's get the irrigation back down and let's get these things watered in. All right, so I keep a whole irrigation toolbox out here in the shade so it doesn't get dry rotted, but let's get these sprinklers looked at. Half of gardening in a large scale is plumbing, so it's good to learn certain things. I don't have a traditional sprinkler system. This is a micro sprinkler system where I kind of jerry rig a lot of stuff. So you can see right here, this is a micro sprinkler. This is what it's supposed to look like. But these little tops will dry rot. Yeah, it's hard to ever get this thing off. So I keep a pair of PEX cutters. These Cobalt PEX cutters are awesome. You can do some damage too, be careful. We're just gonna cut it, clean even cut, just like that. Put that in the recycling bin. And then I ordered these new ones they're pretty similar. On Amazon, when they're buying irrigation stuff, it's hard to find the same thing over and over again. And best thing to do is move it up a little bit. And if it's in the middle of summer too, when this is hot, these will go on quicker as well. But they're kind of a pain to get on. So we will go ahead and do this the best that we can. If it's the middle of the day, it's a little easier. That's on pretty good, honestly. And so we will close this off. You'll never know how much flow is going to happen until you go turn the sprinkler on. So we'll set them in, and I'll go turn the sprinkler on. Stick that right there next to it. And then we'll go over here, and I'm going to turn the water on, and you can see how much water is going to come out. We'll adjust the flow. Oh, that's perfect. So just turn it a little bit to allow a little more water to come out. Sometimes these get a little bit clogged with like minerals or whatever. We have hard water here. We need a water softener or something. There we go. Sometimes they get a little clogged up. They really do. They'll get clogged up. And you'll be like, why isn't that one going off? And you twist it and break it loose, and then it starts spraying. Get this one over here too. Yep. So it's cool to have a sprinkler system, an irrigation system, but it's not something you should depend on all the time. And the one couple of days you don't check is the time when something goes wrong, honestly. And we will hand water this, I think, later on, but it's good to check these after you do an installation. All right, so I hope y'all enjoyed this video. You get to see a little bit of what I do on a daily basis. It's been raining off and on all weekend, and so got to find time to do little bitty things like this every once in a while. It's a Labor Day weekend, so got a million different things I want to do, but the weather's not cooperating with me. So it's a good time right now to go ahead and take care of stuff like this and prepare for, you know, the fall and spring, so I don't have to worry about it then. So little things here and there you can do to make your life a lot easier down the road. If you have any questions, drop them down below, and we'll see you on the next video.